Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. If your Samsung dishwasher is flashing that dreaded LC code and won't run, I've got great news. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps to diagnose and fix this problem yourself. This is one of the most common error codes I see, and the good news is most of these fixes are actually pretty straightforward. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. So, the most common thing I see is water that's accumulated in that base pan underneath. You'll know this is happening when you see the LC code pop up, and there's actually water pooled under there when you tip the dishwasher or pull off that front kick panel. Sometimes it's just from a minor spill during loading or even condensation that's gotten the sensor all worked up. Here's your step by step fix. This takes about 20 minutes total. First, unplug the dishwasher for 10 minutes to reset the control board. You'll need some clean towels and possibly a flashlight. Remove that front kick panel at the bottom, then get in there and soak up every drop of water from the base pan underneath. Make sure you dry around that moisture sensor really well. I like to use a fan or even a hair dryer on low heat to make sure everything's bone dry. Once you've got it completely dry, plug it back in and run a quick rinse cycle to see if the error clears. Another big culprit is drainage issues. If your dishwasher isn't draining properly, you're going to see water standing in the tub after a cycle, and that can overflow into the base pan and trigger the LC code. First, turn off power and water supply before checking anything. Now check that drain hose for kinks. This is the number one cause I see. Carefully pull the unit out about 12 inches and visually follow that gray drain hose from the dishwasher all the way to where it connects under your sink. Look for any sharp bends, twists, or crushing. While you're at it, pop out that filter at the bottom of the tub and give it a good cleaning under hot water. Oh, and here's a big one. If you recently installed a garbage disposal and forgot to knock out that little plastic plug inside the disposal inlet, that'll back everything up and cause this exact problem. Now let's talk about actual water leaks from loose hoses or connections. You might see drips or wet spots around where the water supply connects to your dishwasher, or maybe where the drain hose meets the disposal. These little leaks can slowly fill up that base pan over time until boom, LC code. Crawl under there and check every connection you can see. Look for mineral deposits or water stains. That's usually a dead giveaway. If you find a loose connection, tighten it up with a wrench. Small holes in hoses can be temporarily fixed with some electrical tape, but honestly, if the hose is damaged, just replace it. Here's a sneaky culprit that trips up a lot of people: soap problems. If you've recently switched detergent brands, used liquid dish soap by mistake, or someone in your house added extra detergent thinking more is better, you'll get massive suds that trigger the leak sensor. All that foam can overflow and trigger the leak sensor. Same thing happens if you overfill that rinse aid dispenser. It creates way too many bubbles. Make sure you're using proper dishwasher detergent and not overdoing it. If you've got excess rinse aid in there, grab a wet towel and soak up the extra. The door gasket is another common issue. If that rubber seal around the door gets cracked, torn, or just isn't sealing properly anymore, water's going to leak out during the wash cycle and end up in the base pan. Take a good look at that door seal, run your hand along it, and feel for any tears or rough spots. Sometimes the seal just gets dirty or misaligned, so give it a good cleaning first. But if you see visible cracks or the door isn't closing tight, that gasket needs to be replaced. I've seen some Samsung models where there's actually a bent metal flange that causes the lower rack to hit the door seal repeatedly until it fails. Sometimes the problem is with the water inlet valve itself. This valve can get stuck, freeze up in cold weather, or develop small leaks that slowly drip into the base pan. You'll notice this if your dishwasher isn't filling with water properly, or if you hear it humming but no water's coming in. Make sure your main water supply valve is fully open and check that little screen filter on the valve. It gets clogged with sediment pretty easily. If the valve's frozen, you can thaw it by wrapping it with towels soaked in warm water, but be careful not to burn yourself. Here's a plot twist. Sometimes the sensor that detects leaks is actually the problem. Think of it like a smoke detector that goes off when you burn toast. The leak sensor can become oversensitive and scream leak at normal condensation that every dishwasher has. I remember this lady who called me in a panic because her brand new dishwasher kept throwing LC codes. but there wasn't a drop of water anywhere. Turns out the sensor was just hypersensitive. You can try cleaning around the sensor prongs really well and making sure they're completely dry. Some folks have had success relocating the sensor higher up in the base pan, but that's getting into warranty voiding territory, so proceed with caution. This is the least likely culprit, but sometimes the control board itself goes bad and keeps throwing that LC code even when everything else checks out. I've seen boards that got moisture damage or just had components fail over time. If you've tried everything else and that code keeps coming back, it might be time to look at the control board. Try unplugging the machine for several minutes to see if a hard reset helps. You can also check that all the connectors on the board are seated properly. Sometimes they just work loose over time. All right, so what we're dealing with here is a leak code. That LC means your dishwasher thinks it's detected water where it shouldn't be. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes it's a real leak, sometimes it's a false alarm from something as simple as a little condensation. I'm going to walk you through these problems from the simplest fixes to the more involved ones. And trust me, we'll figure out what's going on with your machine. The leak detector sensor costs $10.25 versus a $150-200 service call. That's a no-brainer to fix yourself. You can find these at Walmart, Parts Data, or Affordable Appliance Parts. Write down your exact model number first, but the most common part numbers are DD9401062A and DD6100235A. This is definitely worth fixing yourself. It's basically just unplugging the old sensor and plugging in the new one, way cheaper than having someone like me come out for a service call. Door seals are going to run you anywhere from about $30 up to around 75 for the higher end models. You can get these from Part Select or Repair Clinic, and they usually come with installation instructions. This is a moderate DIY job, not too complicated, but you got to be careful getting the old seal out and making sure the new one seats properly. Still way cheaper than a service call, though. Float switches typically cost between 15 and $60 depending on your specific model. These control the water level in your dishwasher, and when they fail, they can cause all sorts of weird symptoms. Installation is pretty straightforward if you're comfortable working around the bottom of the tub, but you'll need to pull out the dishwasher to get to it properly. Now, the water inlet valve is going to be your most expensive part here. You're looking at over $100 for most Samsung models. This one's a bit more involved to replace since you're dealing with both water and electrical connections. If you're not comfortable with that kind of work, this might be where you call someone like me. But if you are handy, it can save you a couple hundred in labor costs. Drain hoses are pretty affordable, usually 15 to $40 depending on length and where you buy them. Any hardware store or appliance parts dealer should have what you need. This is definitely a DIY repair. Just make sure you get the routing right when you install the new hose and check that it's not kinked anywhere. Control boards are the expensive option. You're looking at close to $200 for most models. This should really be your last resort after you've checked everything else. Installation isn't too bad if you're comfortable with electronics, but remember that if your machine is still under warranty, replacing the board yourself might void that coverage. All right, if we're looking at replacing parts, let me break down what you're dealing with cost-wise and whether these repairs are worth tackling yourself. Most of these Samsung dishwasher parts are pretty reasonably priced, and several of these fixes are definitely DIY friendly if you're handy with basic tools. Now, you can see right there on your screen some of the most common Samsung dishwasher models that run into these LC code issues. Don't worry about memorizing all those model numbers, just see if yours is up there. I've worked on tons of these units, and the fixes we've talked about apply to pretty much all of them. Some models, like the W80R series, seem to have that bent door seal flange issue more often, but the troubleshooting steps are going to be the same regardless. So there you have it. That's how you tackle the Samsung dishwasher LC code. Start with the simple stuff like drying out that base pan and checking for obvious leaks. Then work your way up to the more complex fixes if needed. Most of the time, you're going to find the problem in those first few steps. If you guys know someone who's having appliance troubles, please send them the link to this video or a link to my channel, where I have tons of other videos showing how to fix pretty common issues with appliances, sometimes for free or as little cost as possible. It sure beats having a repairman come out and spending several hundred for them to fix it when it could be something so simple. If this helped you get your dishwasher working again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.